morning, everyone. So I think, like Lisa was saying, this is kind of like rounding it up to everything that we spoke, all this.
Hey, your mic's not on. 1 second.
Oh, it's not on.
Can you flip that on?
It's, yeah, there it is. I think, sorry. So I think, what Lisa was saying is like, this is kind of like rounding it up. It's like we've talked about all these different things about how, how to market to doctors, how to market to patients, how to market all these things. But we need to have the ability to use tools to be able to do that. So I'm going to take you through, some of the things around how to kind of build a case and what are we doing at AtlantiCare right now to put this forward. So a little bit about me. I've been, working in about 20 plus years in this marketing strategy, doing a lot of marketing technology, marketing operations, sort of the digital front door across different industries. But over the past few years, I've been working in healthcare at New York Presbyterian, Mount Sinai, and most recently at AtlantiCare. A little bit about AtlantiCare. So, most of you might not know what it is. It's a health system in South Jersey. It has about 125 years old. There's over 6,500 team members. We have over 1,100 physicians, over 130 locations, and about $1 billion in revenue. And so kind of like what I was telling you before is like, this is what I'm going to kind of take you through is, why there's all this martech dilemma. Why are you need this? How do you plan for it? And what are we doing right now in order to get to there? And I like to start with this, kind of interesting thing is because, marketing technology is not easy. It's a conglomerate of things. It has technology, it has marketing, it has people. So it's kind of like walking a tightrope, and people don't really look at it. And it's like, hey, we need to do this. There's some technology, we're going to do it. And the reason you have to look into this is because marketing technology has exploded over the past 12 years. It's grown almost 7,300%, and industries are not growing the same way. And the only thing that we kind of see about that is that, kind of like, we get to this thing is like, hey, now we have this. How do we get, to calculate the ROI? It's like, hey, we need to get another tool. So it's kind of like these things where people think that, it's like, we're going to solve something, let's put out more technology. And it's really not about that. And some of the reasons why this happens is, and it gets a bad reputation is because there's a lack of expertise. There's products out there that can solve one problem, but it might not solve all the problems. There's redundancy of tools. So like you could have like three, we identified that there was like, for example, at AtlantiCare, we had 33 different people using different email marketing tools. Why do we have that? Why are we paying all those? And then people are not trained to use them appropriately. The other thing is about cost. People are paying for something they see on a demo, something that they are looking at, and it's maybe not what you need. It's maybe what, it shows a path, but you have to have the right people to set it up. There's a lot of time and cost that people think is like, hey, we'll get it done and we'll put it in place, it'll be done. Right now we're in a 27-month path to get our infrastructure aligned because there's so many different things. And integrations. Not everybody has the right data. Not everybody has all the information. And there's all these different things that are existing before. Like, we all kind of have, like somebody coded this thing and it's like the best thing and everybody loves it. Or, nobody, somebody coded it and left, but everybody keeps using it. And so how do you kind of get that? So that's why, when you're looking at marketing technology, it gets, it gets very bad reputation because people are not looking into all the different capacities. And so what you have to do is you have to plan and standardize because you want to deliver results, you want to optimize workflows, you want to improve quality, you want to expand operations, and you want to maximize revenue, and you want to enhance employee and consumer experience. So some of the things that we're kind of looking at at AtlantiCare to kind of be a success for a project is we're building the right partnerships, internal, external. It's very important to have the right partners that you are going to kind of solve the problems. we identify what are the core systems that you need to do. You have to have governance. If you don't have governance, people are going to do whatever you want, and people are going to do all these different things. And we know that data, just in the data capacity, if you don't have any governance, everybody can do whatever they want. Resourcing. We all talk about like we have no money, we have no resources, but it's important to have the ability to resource the right people that are going to know what are going to be the things that you need. Project management. Like everything, it's about knowing what is going to come next and how you plan and strategize about it. You need to train people, because if you don't train them, you can put in place whatever is the best technology, and they're not going to be able to use it. And then communications is going to be key. One of the things that we have as we created all these different areas in our projects is we have partnered with our communications team so that they are delivering all these communications like, hey, it's step 1 of 25, and here's what is going to be delivered in step 1. And that's one of the things that is very important, because people might be seeing that like, hey, we have all these great things happening, but if they don't know what is being delivered and what is not, it's going to be a problematic thing. And this is one of the things that I like this slide a lot, because a lot of people, we all talk about strategy, and strategy is very important, but if even in a company there's no culture, the strategy is not going to work. So culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it's one of the things that if you kind of think about is, if your people are not buying into the project, it's never going to work, even if you have the best strategy in place. So you have to work on that capacity. So now talking a little bit about AtlantiCare and where AtlantiCare is. We've created a vision for to become the premier healthcare system in the region in the next 5 years. And we're going to build that looking at 4 pillars. One is the community, the other one is the workforce, the other one is transformation, and the other one is growing the market. And why are all these things important is, AtlantiCare is located in an area where it's being affected by a lot of different things in the community. It's one of the lowest in life quality in the United States. It's, I think, 7 years less than any other community. And so if you don't build a community, no matter what best resources you have, you're not going to have that. The workforce, if you don't build a workforce that is aligned to your thing, to your project, is never going to have the success of your transformation. We're talking about marketing technology. If we don't align and create the right processes to transform and build the right technology, then we're never going to grow our market and our market share. So that's why those 4 pillars are our key. And we're doing that as well as part of a vision for Patient 360. What we call that is that we want to touch our patients in a personalized way wherever they are needing that care for us, no matter if it's online, on the clinic. And so how are we doing that? We're looking at activating patients in with personalized content. We're looking at how do we tell you that you are due to do this test. How do we get that and make sure that then you can engage with us and you have the ability to be proactive and have an experience with us, and then we retain you. So it becomes a cycle of like, now we have you, we know where you are, we know what you are doing in this 360 vision, and now we can kind of look at how we can enhance your health without even having to look at all these different things and markers. So that's one of the things that we are really focusing and putting together around our marketing technology. And so how are we going to do this? We're going to do it in 3 ways. One is personalization. So we're going to look at how we're going to personalize in all these different aspects of the systems, the stories that we're going to tell, the patient experience. Patient experience, we talked a lot about it, patient experience here. If the patient experience is not the best experience, it's going to be like a wildfire. We need to make sure that everybody is committed and is looking at that patient experience. And then data insights as another pillar is like, how do we measure our success to drive the next step? And how do we engage using this data to be able to do that? So we started looking at this from all different aspects. And there's we kind of decided in two ways. One is what are the marketing touch points and what are the clinical touch points. But all those touch points are really important in this journey. If they're not synced, they're not going to be able to drive that experience. So we need to make sure that, if you're on the web, you're going to have the same experience, that if you call our call center, that if you went to a hospital or an urgent care, and you're receiving the same care, and it looks the same, and they know that, yeah, hey, it's Otto. Otto has been here at doing this and this and this, and they know that. There's a fragmentation in a lot of our journeys where I've gone to this facility, and they cannot connect with my previous visit because they couldn't connect all the data. So in order to do that, we have to create all these different layers, and like I was saying, the work streams that we want to do. So on the personalization, we're going to engage our patients through their preferred channels. If you like email, if you like SMS, if you like the web, if you like to call, it should be the same experience no matter where you are. We're going to target their health with campaigns that are going to be based on what they need. We need to know, we always know, and we always say like, hey, there's all these determinants of health that we can kind of predetermine what you need as the next. But there's a lot of people that don't have resources or they don't have the way, and so we're creating a command center where we can monitor people that we had a patient where he fell on the parking lot, and it was raining, and nobody saw him for hours until somebody came and say, but because we couldn't monitor in the right way, we couldn't do that. We're going to optimize our CRM systems. Now we have a way of having all connected in one place, and we're going to use predictive analytics. Now we can kind of say, one of the things that is happening with our analytics is kind of like we're using Excel to do analytics. We need to change that, and we need to go one step further and connect other data sources so that we can have a data platform that can let us segment, target, and build that communication. The patient experience, connect the journey throughout modernizing the access center. So the access center for us is our call center. The call center has been the first choice for all of our patients, but the experience of our call center agents it's really bad. They have to use 27 different technologies to schedule an appointment, to find your records. So what we're doing is we're streamlining that and making sure that it's all under our one connected experience. We're empowering patients with health education. Before, patients were not even targeted. So we are telling them like, hey, there's all these different things that you can have. We can improve our website with content. We can tell them like, there's all this information so that you can be ahead of your health without having to wait until you have an episode, because that's what causes a lot of problems when that person comes into your ER or your urgent care or your hospital. This person is already in a very extreme case, and their health is going to kind of deteriorate from that point. So we want to do that ahead of time, and then actively engage patients with data management. Like I was saying, data is it's becoming one of our keynotes, our key efforts across the board. We know that it's very fragmented, and because of this fragmentation, we don't know what the left hand is doing with the right hand, and so that is very, very important. And the data insights. We can have real-time reporting. Right now, like I was saying, it's pretty much an Excel database, and you kind of like say, like, we did this campaign, like, how did we perform after that? We have to wait 6 months after we did the campaign. We want to be able to determine before it's ended, or before we have something that we can kind of give you that opportunity to get that. We're going to enable attribution and tracking. Right now, the attribution is very, very simplistic. It's like, we're going to go to the Medicaid or, some other reports, but we want to make sure that we are connecting to our finance information. And we want to test. We want to be able to test. That's one thing that, we have not done. We are just, we did this campaign, we let it run, and it's evergreen, but we don't look at this, and we're going to be able to see this information and adapt and adjust it. And so how are we doing this? We're doing it in 3 steps. We're going to look at data quality, flow, and security. Those are things that are very important. Because if there's no security, we all work in a very protected environment. There's a lot of legal regulations. You don't want people downloading files on their computers. We want to make sure that they have the right places to get this data and it is connected. The digital transformation is looking at what are going to be these important technologies. We identify that there's 2 big partners for us. One is Oracle for our EMR, and the other one's Salesforce. So we're using them as our foundation for anything that we want to do. If we don't have to go and, what has happened is that, we want to solve X problem, so we'll go and see like who has this, and we put one Band-Aid that doesn't solve the entire of the process. So we're trying to look at this from all the perspectives you could see, as you saw when we were looking at the journey. And then you can build your marketing strategy. And now you can have a way of looking at all this from one perspective and be able to build your marketing strategy to market to your patients, to market to your physicians, to market internally. And that's one thing that, it's key, and we identify that those are our steps that we want. This is, I wanted to share with you kind of like why I was saying is it's sort of like an Excel file that we're looking at. It was pretty much, if you look at it, these boxes, pretty much is you copied one file from to one box to the other box. So from Cerner, from Oracle, it was copied to Healthy Intent, which is an Oracle product that is like a glorified Excel database where they're concatenating data. I was talking to someone yesterday, they got a campaign, and within that campaign, she was like, oh yeah, I'm due for this, but the phone number that I got it is a phone number that is not my personal phone number. It's my work phone number. And so when we looked at that, this system had done an aggregation in like an Excel file of hundreds of columns, putting that, and that phone number was there multiple times, so that they thought that was the best phone number for this person. And then that copied into Salesforce. So we didn't have a transactional system. We just had a duplication without having a source of truth. So what we are looking to do in a first stage is remove some of this duplication. And so we've cleaned out, one of the things that we identify is that we were copying so much data that we were in violation of our contract with Salesforce, and we were in millions of dollars that we were lucky that we didn't get charged by Salesforce, because we had over 260% storage on a platform that is not supposed to be a database. And so what we want to do and what we're working on is removing that middle layer that is concatenate data and go to the source of truth. And it's a temporary solution because we want to make sure that we are solving it for a problem for our access center that are, and for our campaigns, because right now it's kind of very simplistic and determined by some very simple factors. If we go to the source of truth, we are going to have all the information. And then for the future, we're going to remove that and create a data warehouse and a data lake where all the different systems can connect. And then we can have our command center can be connected to it, our Salesforce, our EMRs, it all could work in sync. And I wanted to end with there's a lot of stuff in this slide, but it's kind of like our last 3 quarters of this year and what we've done, each of those kind of different work streams, and so I wanted to kind of talk about a couple of things in this roadmap. We identify, like I was saying, millions of dollars on duplicate contracts, on bad use of technologies. And with that money, we were able to get to our leadership and say, like, hey, that, we have this risk, and that, with all this money, we have almost $2 million that we're spending on all these systems that are duplicates that we can potentially use to solve other problems. Obviously, they didn't give me the $2 million, but they gave me some money from that, and I was able, and that's why I'm able to kind of put this roadmap together. The other thing is, looking at enhancing the patient, and so with this, we are exploring, we're looking at the patient from the 360 angle view without having to look at it from that simplistic view. It's Otto, it's male, but it could be many other things that could tie in. It's like, surgeries, other things that could build. We're going to plan and forecast for 2025. We're already starting that process even before Q4 because we identify that if we don't look at this now, we're going to get to 2025 and be behind the 8 ball. And we want to make sure that we have this information ahead of time. And so we started putting, from this roadmap, there's kind of like sub roadmaps, for different verticals that we're trying to use to kind of identify those. And then one of the last things is we're trying to make sure that for the patient is seamless. Scheduling is one of the hardest things a patient can have nowadays. They don't, and it's all because, we talked about is access. It's about, how to get to that location. Do you have the doctor near me? What is going to be all those different things? And so for us, that's going to be kind of like our core kind of final product is delivering that. And so as a conclusion, one of the things that I wanted to kind of say is like, this is not a cookie cutter thing. Not everybody's different, from in any industry. I've done it in different hospitals, and every hospital is different. I've done it in other industries. It's not a cookie cutter, but if you look at this from the different angles, you're going to be able to kind of determine that. You have to partner with the right people in order to get that. You have to set goals and KPIs, because if you don't set goals and KPIs, no matter what you put in place, it's never gonna, you're never gonna know what is gonna come. You gotta build a team and a roadmap so that everybody is aligned. Your team is, and you can tie that to your culture. Be adaptable. Like, you can have a roadmap for the next 9 months, but it might not change. It might not happen everything in the 9 months because there are things that are working or not working, or there's going to be delays because the data was not perfect and you have to clean it. As you saw, the marketing technology is continuously growing, and there's going to be new things. There's AI, there's all these different things that are coming into the mix, and those things are going to kind of keep making this either harder or not the right thing for you. And then listen to your team. Again, kind of going back into the culture. If you're not tied to if you're not looking at your team, you're not going to see. And sorry, Scott Brinker is kind of like one of the writers of one of the big marketing technology publications, and he said one of the challenges is that the marketing technology space is so large, it's intimidating. If you don't have a strategy, it is like it's like an overwhelming sea of noise. But I wanted to kind of change that and add culture, because if you don't have the culture, it's not going to work. I want to open it to any questions if you have.
That's awesome, Otto. First, a big round of applause. Thank you. Do you have any questions? I actually do have one, because how you followed all of that. I mean, that's amazing. It is a lot there. But you talked about you have to set your KPIs, and you have to, but just talking with everyone and hearing what people are, KPIs can vary depending on, are you going up to the patient, the doctor, what are you looking for? How did that then impact your mix in terms of where you're investing your dollars, and did it have to change for each one? Like, how do you keep that where you're not then overlapping it all?
Yeah, so I think, for KPIs, I think there's some macro KPIs around the entire project, And then you have that are, you have certain deliverables that you have to achieve with those KPIs. If you have, over this 5 years, there's going to be certain things that they're deliverables, and that, you're investing $1 million, how are you going to, are there going to be a return on investment on those, in that $1 million that you're investing? But there's sub-tasks as you kind of break it into different things. So if you kind of go into, maybe email marketing, there might be different KPIs for email marketing, but at the end of the day, it's all about a return on investment. It's how much you put in and how much you get back, but you have to define those ahead of time when you're building your project.
Okay. Well,
Hi, I'm Rita with TransUnion, and I think this is great. It sounds really forward-thinking for a healthcare organization. Did you have to fight a lot of people saying, well, we've never done it that way before, or what was that process like?
I think I was lucky to get into this project because there's a lot of change happening at AtlantiCare. And it's coming from the top. I think that was one of the things, and they're open to listening to you. That's one of the biggest things. They're trying to change the way of how healthcare is seen, from delivering care to more of like it's an experience. It's hospitality. How do we make sure that we kind of tie that back into that? So you have some of these things that I shared were presentations to our leadership showing them like, hey, there's risk, there's different things that we're seeing. We identify things like contracts that had been bundled together. They bundle the Cerner Oracle contract with Salesforce as the same one contract. So if you wanted to deal with one, you couldn't you couldn't get anything out of that contract, or you couldn't deal with like advancing a project because who leads the project, who gets the who is the signatory of that project. And so we started kind of looking at these things and say like, hey, we have to break this into kind of the core things and show what are going to be those, kind of successes. And that's why kind of tying it back to the KPIs is how do we, we tied it to our goals of our team is like, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we have an X amount, of return on investment on everything that we do, and that's kind of tied to the entire team's goals, and it allows us to have those conversations, those difficult conversations.
all right, Otto Angulo, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.